It's Will here for another fight card prediction. I'm here for UFC Moscow versus Kattar from Russia, obviously. I'm getting these out super late. I have been working non-stop for about the last 12 days where I've literally not had a day off. It's been really, really rough. So I've not had as much time to kind of look into fights as I usually do. And this is the reason I'm getting them out early on Friday morning to my usual kind of Monday night. So yeah, so I apologise about getting that late, but life and work gets in the way sometimes, and it has this time right here. If you like the content that I'm putting out, give me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, give me a subscribe. Just hit that bell up there and you'll be notified when my videos come on live on YouTube. And yeah, I'm gonna fire through this one fairly quick. Like I say, I've not really looked into this one as much as I usually do with other cards, just due to time constraints and everything. So yeah, I just want to say a big well done to Kiro the Tank. If you're watching this, I'm going to send you an email soon. A poster is on your way. A poster of your choices on your way. Once I send that email, I'll let you know what's up with that. So yeah, we're going to get into this. Gregory Popov against Davy Grant. I've got Gregory Popov here. Super surprised Davy Grant's still in the UFC. There's been a bundle of cuts in the last couple of weeks. I know he's had a fight schedule, but the guy was 1-3 in the UFC, and he's barely fought in the 6 years he's been in the UFC. He's been injury ridden, so he's been out kind of a lot of times during that 6 years, and he's had fights fall through and fight week and so on. And he's facing Gregory Popov here. Second fight in the UFC, had a tough introduction against Eddie Wylander, a really grizzled UFC Zuffa vet that's had a lot of big fights within the company, and ultimately lost that fight. Showed a lot of kind of decent little trains. I liked his low kicks. I like his double up, his jabs that he was doubling up on. But overall, I think he's got a low ceiling in the UFC. But I do think this is a decent matchup for him against Davy Grant. But in saying that, it wouldn't surprise me if Davy Grant came out here, made this super competitive, and ends up maybe winning the decision. But ultimately, this card, when I look at it, I think a lot of the Russians might get a little bit favoured in this. So yeah, I've got Popov in a fairly dominant, but could look a fairly kind of closest decision. So I'll go Gregory Popov in that one. Pani Kianzad against Jessica Rose Clark. This is a rematch of 2015, I believe it was, in Invicta, when Pani made her Invicta debut. That's back when she was like super hot. She came out of the Cage Warriors with the belt that she won there, undefeated at the time, full of confidence, and ultimately won a very kind of easy kind of stand-up fight against Jessica Rose Clark. Now Jessie's moving back up to 135 after kind of botching her weight against Andrea Lee, where she had to pull out, I think, during fight week, which is a little bit rough. So she's back up at 135. She's going to be a little bit undersized here. Pani's kind of fought a higher weight class. I think she's a more varied kind of striker, more varied martial arts. That's what I should say. I think she could take it down. Jessica Rose Clark looks in unbelievable condition. Looking at her Instagram and so on, she looks like she's in really peak condition, coming off an injury, a pretty bad looking injury actually, where she was walking around with a boot for a long time. I think if Pani was to clinch up, she could potentially get the fight to the ground. I think on the feet, I think it's going to be kind of close. From what I'm seeing from Jessica Rose Clark, she wants to kind of use more of her attributes, and supposedly this is a grappling and so on. That she's going to try and show more of in our upcoming UFC fights. I'm not too sure. I think this is going to be a close fight. I would never have money in either one of these girls in this spot here. I think if you got Pani at plus 115, plus 125 in that range where it was, I don't think that's overly a bad bet, but I'll be passing. But I've got Pani Kianzad to win at a fairly close decision. Alexander Yakovlev's against Roosevelt Roberts next. Tough fight to call. Like I say, this could be one of these fights that's ultimately, it looks really close in the scorecard. You might think Roberts maybe wins it and the home guy gets the decision there. Yakovlev, very big for the division, very crafty, far more UFC experience, bigger names that he's fought. Coming off a win over Alex Coelho da Silva, where he took a few lumps in that one, but ultimately he's just his veteran savviness kind of brought him through. Like I say, very tough to look good against. And just like a hard guy to be fighting. It's a good fight, I think, for Roosevelt Roberts. I think that coming off that loss to Vince Pichel, We're going to see what he's learned. He's coming in here in short notice for Vince Bichelle, which is a little bit awkward, a little bit weird as well. So, but what I do see, the fundamentals I like with Roosevelt Roberts, I think his striking's decent. I don't think he really turned up in that fight with Bichelle, but Bichelle, like I say, is another tough guy to face. I like his athleticism, I like his combinations, I like his speed. I think he's going to be super hard to take down if Yakovlev wants to go down that avenue of trying to maybe take him down, maybe have a submission advantage, jiu-jitsu advantage on him down there. But ultimately, I like Roosevelt Roberts to come in here and kind of show his dominance and be a little bit quicker to the combination, be a little bit quicker to the strike, stronger, more athletic, faster throughout the fight. And ultimately, I see him winning decision in Russia. Like I say, if they go to decision, it's going to be super. It's going to be a little bit sketchy. So, but I feel confident picking Roosevelt Roberts in that spot there. Abubaker Nurmagomedov against David Zawada here. I've not been super impressed with Nurmagomedov, who's the cousin of Khabib. Like I say, I've not watched any of his fights recently, but I know I watched his fights in the PFL and the World Series of Fights. Beat John Howard, lost to Pavel Kush, where he got submitted in that one there. But ultimately, he's a guy who's he's okay. I think he's average, but I think he's going to be okay in like the early part of his UFC career if they match him up properly. I think they're matching him up properly here with David Zawada, who ultimately can give you a very fun fight, a very tough fight. We've seen that against Danny Roberts, Li Jingliang, but ultimately I don't see him being in the UFC all that much longer. Like I say, there'll be opportunities going forward where I'll look to fade Abubaker Nurmagomedov, but this is not the spot here. I think he can control Zawada down in the ground here. Like I say, Zawada doesn't quit himself, can take a few licks, can keep on coming, can reverse some positions on the bottom, but ultimately I think the top position will tire out Zawada, and I think that actually Nurmagomedov could find a submission here, so I'm going to go in fact, a submission, that's rough. Yeah, I'll maybe go submission in his UFC debut, why not? I'll go for a third round submission for Abubaker Nurmagomedov in that one there. But like I say, I'm not overly impressed with what I see with him. Another newcomer to the UFC, we've got Roman Kopylov against Karl Roberson. Seen a lot of love for Karl Roberson. I know he had a plus number beside his name for the majority of the fight week. I think it's a pick him now. But I actually like Roman Kopylov in this spot here. Initially, I did like Roberson, but like I say, I've not really watched too much. But this is a matchup, when you look at it, two strikers, you've got a more seasoned striker in Karl Roberson, who's been in the kickboxing ranks and he's been around for a little bit. His obvious weakness is getting taken to the ground. And when you look at Roman Kopylov in his fights in ACB and Fight Nights Global, that he's not really shown that much of a tendency to go for takedowns. What I like about Kopylov, I think he's got a good range of distance, a good gauge of distance, really quick, excellent takedown defense on top of that. Like I say, his fundamentals are brilliant. I think he's got a really good, quick, flashy jab, really dangerous left hand, always kind of feinting to put his opponents off, good at covering distance, good fight IQ on the feet. But like I say, we've not really seen that grappling aspect. If he had that more, that you could see more, that he could take the fight to the ground, change it up a little bit, I think he would be I think he'd be a great bet at the odds he is. Roberson, like I say, is tough and he's fought far better caliber opposition than what Kopylov has in his young career. But I like Kopylov in this spot here. I think that, like I said, I see it being a close kickboxing, close striking affair, but everybody seems to be on one side, so I'm going to go the other side. If Roman Kopylov could hit plus money, I'd probably make a bet on him in this spot as well. But yeah, I've got Kopylov to win via a decision in this one. Yeah, like I say, I think it might be one of these fights again where Roberson looks like decent in the fight, but ultimately being in. And I know that the judges they're not going to be rushing, but all the kind of, not unless Roberson like drops him, hurts him really badly, cuts him up really badly, then he's going to have to do something kind of spectacular, in my opinion, to come out there and kind of win the decision. So I'm going to go with Roman Kopylov for the W there. Rustam Khabilov against Sergey Khandozhko. If you watch the MMA Huddle, I picked Khabilov, and I'm actually going to change to Khandozhko. I think that he can stuff a few takedowns here. And I think on the feet he is far, far better than what Khabilov is. Khabilov, I think, is going to start decreasing a little bit. He took a lot of damage in that fight against Carlos Ferreira, where, like I say, he got his takedowns, but Carlos, being so savvy down on the ground, he got back to his feet and really hurt him on the feet there. And that's what Khandozhko, I think, can do. I think that's the advantage he has here. He's got a big striking advantage, where if he was to not get taken down, stuff takedowns, he's going to hurt Khabilov, in my opinion. So that's kind of where I'm going to lean there. But if it goes a hard, kind of grappling-based 50-minute fight, you have to kind of side on Khabilov. I'm going to take a shot on Khandozhko in this one here. I've got him winning, maybe via a decision, late TKO in the third there. Magomed Ankalaev against Dalcha, Lungiambula. Dalcha, I don't think is overly a great fighter. I think that he's very dangerous though, because he's very powerful, very athletic. I was kind of impressed with him in his UFC against Daquan Townsend, but Townsend came in there on four days' notice, and then since then he's been cut by the UFC, which I think is a little bit unfair, but it is what it is. Coming over from the UFC, like I said, very dangerous, got some power. But when I look at Ankalaev, I think he could be a top 5 light heavyweight very, very soon. I think he's got a lot of good aspects. I know a lot of people get put off with him by the Paul Craig loss. People forget about the following 14 minutes and 58 seconds there, where he was totally dominating that fight against Paul Craig. But then obviously he got tapped out in the last second. He could have survived that one more second and won the fight. Then he came out, beat Marcin Prachnio very, very easily, and then he's looked better and better as his UFC stint has kind of went on, and I've really enjoyed kind of watching his progression kind of in the UFC. I think that he's, like I say, he's a guy to keep your eye on. He'll be a quiet guy that comes up the division. Beat Klidson Abreu, who I think that was just a really good stylistic matchup for him. But like I say, in my opinion, it's dog or pass. You're not going to want to bet Magomed Ankalaev at minus 400. If you got him in the minus 200 to the minus 230 to 250 range, I think that's a playable spot. You can put him in parlays and so on. But Dalcha, I think he's plus 350 or plus 325. Dog or pass in my opinion, but I'm going to go with Ankalaev to win that one there. Shamil Gamzatov against Klidson Abreu here. Again, Shamil, a guy that I've watched in the PFL and not been impressed with at all, and he's undefeated in his career at 13-0. But when I watch him, I think, dude, you're average. Like, really average, and I don't understand why he should be this big of a favorite. Was he minus 200 in this spot? Minus 175, so money's coming in Klidson, which I kind of expected a little bit, and that's why I'll come out and say I'm picking Klidson in this fight. I've already bet Klidson Abreu in this spot, so I got at plus 175. I thought the odds would come down a little bit. Obviously they have, and they probably will before fight time. Like I said, I just think he's super, super average. There's nothing that sticks out to me. How I see him winning this fight, how I think he could win this fight, is getting takedowns and being in top position and kind of riding that out. I don't think he's the better striker. I don't think he's definitely not the better jiu-jitsu guy. I think his clinch work's very, very bad. I think, like I say, his biggest strength is being in top position. And I think his weakness is on the feet, where I think Klidson can beat him to the punch and just look a lot better when it goes to the ground. I think he's got the jiu-jitsu advantage, where that he could definitely get a submission. He's not scared to go into Russia and get some big wins. He did that before he came into the UFC. Like I say, I think on the feet, very, very kind of close. I don't think Abreu was a world beater on the feet. I really don't. But I think he's a little bit more accurate. I think he's got a little bit more power. I think he's got better wrestling, better grappling, better takedown defense. I think that he is just a really good dog to kind of have in this spot here. So I'm going to take Klidson Abreu. I'm going to take him by stoppage in the mid part of this fight here. And I like the number that I got, plus 175. I think that's a decent wee look there. Next up, Ramazan Emeev against Anthony Rocco Martin. If you watch the huddle, in my huddle, I picked Rocco Martin. Since then, I've kind of went off that, and I've actually sided with Ramazan Emeev. Went back and actually watched 2 of his fights when I was coming home from work tonight, and just efficient. He's a very, very efficient fighter. Like I say, if this was maybe a fight that was outside of Russia, I think that Rocco might have a decent opportunity to really come in here and fight a good fight and maybe get the win. Initially, I thought that Rocco could maybe stop takedowns, which I still think he can. And I think he is better on the feet. Like I say, Ramazan's very, very low output. Doesn't really throw all that much, but he's, like I said, he's super efficient. He will mix in his takedowns with his strikes. Good in the clinch, good with his trips, good with his top position. Can work his way to the back. Might not do that against someone like Rocco, who's been, like, his last loss was Damian Maia. That's not a bad loss. Maia beats a lot of top guys and will for a long time. Like, as long as he's in the UFC, he's a bad stylistic matchup for a lot of people. Yeah, and initially I was on Rocco Martin, but like I said, it's the fight week's going on. Maybe this is why I quite like actually doing these quite late on in the week, that I've kind of changed a little bit there. So I'm going to go Ramazan Emeev to just do enough to kind of win. But again, it could look close, where you think Rocco might have the opportunity to get the win, and then Ramazan gets it. It's I don't know. It's just that feeling I get with these Russia cards. It happened last year as well, where a lot of the favourites won, and I thought that would be the case. But I'm going to take Ramazan. I'm going to change my pick initially from Anthony Martin to Ramazan Emeev in this spot. Khadis Ibragimov against Ed Herman. I think Ed Herman is very live in this fight, actually. For the simple reason that I think Khadis Ibragimov is very green. We've seen that in his UFC debut, where he came out there and totally, there's a definition of blowing your gas tank, and that Khadis Ibragimov's face should be next to that, because he came out there and just willfully was throwing strikes willy-nilly, gassed himself out completely, and then got like knocked out by Dong Yun. And yeah, that, like I say, he can get some takedowns. Herman can, like I say, if he can ride it out, maybe the first round, Ibragimov's coming in here short notice, he might be able to kind of win late on. I don't like Herman's chin all that much. I think that if he can catch him a decent shot, you'll wobble his legs. I don't think Ibragimov's got big power. I don't think he's got all that much power. But yeah, this is rough. I should maybe side with Ed Herman, but it's just hard picking Ed Herman. Yeah, I'm going to go Ibragimov. Like I say, it's just I'm not willing to really pick Ed Herman in a kind of UFC fight much these days. And like I say, when I look at Khadis, he is very green, but I think he's got enough here to beat Ed Herman. Zelim Imadaev against Danny Roberts. Anybody that's knew me for the longest time, Danny Roberts is one of the guys that I love watching fight. I'm a big fan of his. I have been for many years. He's one of the fighters I actually really like speaking to at events outside when he's fighting. Just one of the nicest guys. He's always been super great with me, but he's looked compromised with that chin, and his fight IQ kind of scares me a little bit. And seen the Taleb fight where he got knocked out, he was winning that Claudio Silva fight, then he decided to go to the ground, and that's just dangerous against a guy like Claudio Silva, and you can't do that. But in this matchup, like, I wasn't impressed with Zelim Imadaev. Everybody was on Zelim when he was against Max Griffin. I went the other way. I bet Max Griffin won that there. Now, there was a few sketchy points because Max Griffin usually does that in his fights. And big power. But one of the things I think you can do with this guy is you can take him down. So Danny, he's got takedowns. He's never really used them in the UFC. We haven't seen it. He did it in Cage Warriors, where on occasions he would take guys down. I think he's a really good counter striker, but he has to really be on with those counter strikes against someone like Zelim, because he fires bombs. And like I say, I don't trust the chin of Danny Roberts, but I think he's very live here, because I think if he doesn't get cracked early, then I think he could come into the fight and really give Zelim some problems with his grappling if he decides to use it, though. And I also think he can strike with him, because he's got good striking prowess as well. But like I say, when you look at him, the chin throws me off so much for Danny Roberts. There is nobody on this card I'm more shouting for to win this fight than Danny Roberts. I just don't trust his chin, so in that way I'm going to go Zelim Imadaev via late first round knockout. But I hope Danny Boy wins it. Co-main event, Alexander Volkov against Greg Hardy. This is a rough fight as well, because I think Greg Hardy's kind of live. He's either going to do decent in this fight, or he's kind of going to get blown away by the more experienced, seasoned fighter in Alexander Volkov, who might fight at distance, clinch him up, hurt him in the clinch a little bit. What I liked about Greg Hardy in his fight against Ben Sosoli was the fact that he went in there, kind of fought to a game plan, didn't go in there and rush and look to just knock the guy out, get that, like, you can see he was like a ball of tension going into these fights, where he just wanted to get the fight over as quick as he wanted, and that one he kind of relaxed, let it flow a little bit more. So Soli didn't really it wasn't overly dangerous. He was just mismatched in many areas, and ultimately, like, Greg Hardy won the fight 29-28, but then he had this stupid thing with the inhaler, which was just ridiculous at the time when I was watching. Volkov, like I say, he's coming back after that big loss to Derek Lewis, where he was completely dominating Derek Lewis and then got caught with a bomb in the last 15 seconds. So much more experience, but just, if I'm a little bit scared about his chin, because if he gets caught by something that Greg Hardy's got, who's super athletic and very powerful, then it could be lights out again. But yeah, I'm not going to pick Greg Hardy in the spot here. I'm going to pick Volkov via maybe a late stoppage. It'd be interesting to see if he took it to the ground at all. I'd like to see that, but I've got Volkov, maybe late stoppage or via decision. Main event of the night is Zabit Magomedsharipov against Calvin Kattar. I'll come out and say this straight away. If this was 5 rounds, I'm on the Bostonian side. Over 3 rounds on Russia, I'm on the Zabit side here. But everybody is on Calvin Kattar this week. I don't disagree with him, because the line, I think, is a little bit... I'm like, whoa, dude, why is that line as kind of high as it is? Because Calvin Kattar is so good in many aspects. Like I say, he's got a wrestling background, which a lot of people don't talk about. So that might kind of help him here with Zabit's kind of grappling, which I think is his strongest point, honestly. I think his grappling's top notch. But when you look at Calvin Kattar, his boxing, his technical, precise striking is amazing. His footwork is so good. His feints are so good. Moving back, his striking is so good. Can catch you with beautiful uppercuts. Can mix it in like with a fast left-right combination 1-2, like he caught against Ricardo Lamas. And like I say, he is the better striker against Zabit. Zabit, I think, is a good striker with his kicks, especially. I think he's got a lot of power there. With his hands, I don't think he's got all that much power. I think he's, like I say, his kicks are some of his best attacking attacks, to say the least. His leg attacks are probably the best one there with his kicks. But like I say, I think his strongest suit is his grappling, is his submissions. I think he's very creative. I think he's very long. Obviously, this fight in the 3 rounds is smart on him and his team's part, because one of the things that has definitely stood out is his durability as the fight goes on. He fades very badly. Like I say, kind of how I see this fight going is Calvin Kattar, I think, has to do something really special to win this fight, because if these rounds are close, they're going to edge it for Zabit Magomedsharipov. So Calvin has to come out there, catch him with a big shot, hurt him, put him down, wobble him, just to really give himself the opportunity to kind of win the fight. And like I say, these are not Russian judges, but in Russia, I feel that they're going to start. I feel that they're going to give more of the wins to the kind of Russian side. Like I say, as the weeks went on, I'm kind of more on Kattar, but my gut feeling was to beat Magomedsharipov. I just don't like the line. I think people that are betting on the Kattar line, I think are getting value there, honestly. I think that Kattar, in my opinion, shouldn't be any more than a plus 130 dog. I think that it should be a lot closer than what it is. But in Russia, I don't know, it's just getting steamed a little bit too much. So good luck to the Calvin Kattar bettors. I'm not going to bet anything in this fight. If I was to bet anything in this fight, I would bet Magomedsharipov. I'm actually going to pick him to beat Calvin Kattar. I'm going to pick him to win via submission. Maybe late 2, early round number 3. Just because I think that is his strong point. And I think if he was to get it there and have a bit of time where he's got the fight there, I think he could find a way to use some of that creative jiu-jitsu that he's got and we've seen in the UFC. But like I say, don't sleep on someone like Calvin Kattar, because he's got so many skills and so much ability that he can really hurt you. And we've seen that, like, one of my favourite finishes, I think, in all of the UFC was his one over Shane Burgos. Burgos is super durable, and he absolutely knocked the chin off him with that combination that put him down. So yeah, but I'm going to go Zabit Magomedsharipov via submission. I'm going to kind of see if he can get a stoppage. But over 3 rounds, I think it might be tough with a guy of the standard of Calvin Kattar. So that's my picks for UFC Moscow, UFC Fight Night 163, whatever you may call it. I think it's a tough card. Like I say, I'm kind of siding with most of the Russians here. But like I say, I would actually kind of like to see Calvin Kattar win. Like to see Danny Roberts win. I would like to see Roosevelt Roberts win. So yeah, hopefully some of the kind of foreigners coming into Russian territory here are going to win the fight. So I'm going to be back for UFC Brazil card, whatever it is, next week. I'm probably going to be doing that on the Monday, so keep an eye out on that. I'm going to start watching fights now after I watch this UFC program on my TV. But until then, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know who your favourite underdog of the whole entire card is. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I wish you all the very, very best and enjoy the cards this Saturday afternoon. Peace.